Lynn was saying, I believe part of the darkness brought to light here has to do with the tunnels and all that's being cleared now, and the rescuing of the children.
Right.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
even though that's not something that's been made public in the, I don't know, 3D
Yeah.
linear way,
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he
so
has. I
much.
mean, he's talking about it. The most. I mean, he says it in.
I'm in agreement with you. I think that it's being telegraphed. I'm saying that no, he's not coming out and saying, "Oh, we just pulled, I don't know how many thousand children out of a tunnel, and they're the ones that need all of this." No, that's
He's
not being
giving you the
said.
numbers on what they're expecting to pull out of the tunnel, and if we don't act now, we'll lose that many. Those numbers in here are not referring to coronavirus.
No, I'm aware. I'm aware of that. You're aware of that. There's a load of other folks that aren't. Now, that probably does not apply to the 24 people watching us right now. They probably all do know that, but there are those out there that are like, huh, what children? What are they talking about? I don't know that, like I said, I don't know that there's anybody with us right now that wouldn't already know that. But there will, there are folks who, again, only half hear or know of these things, but it's now, Abizi, I hadn't made that. I couldn't wrap my mind around those numbers. You're saying that's the telegraphing of how many are being rescued?
Just in this country. It's a global operation.
Now, I know it's a global operation, and I
Yeah,
know
but
that
those
that's
numbers are just related to this country, but he is telling you, I don't know if you want me to jump ahead to that, but he's talking about on page 3, um, it's about like, I don't know, for some reason there's not much paragraph space in here, but maybe
well, I know he's talking about
the
like,
U.S. State Department has organized one of the largest and most complex international evacuation operations in American history. So these are Americans who are in foreign soil who have been trapped, and he said that explicitly. He said one. He mentioned one woman explicitly,
They did.
and that they in the torturous and and so there was a little back and forth question about follow up on that the next day or the day after that. So that's one, but that's also not only genuinely for that being, but that's also a telegraphing of everything that's going on. He's talking about the ones in Peru. So in this one he mentions so they've successfully repatriated over 25,000 Americans from more than 50 countries where they were literally stuck. So there's more to come, but so you could think of
right. Well, I knew when he was talking about that I mean, I misunderstood you before then.
what?
When you were, because I was thinking you were referring to the number of masks and things like that were,
No, I was referring to the number of
okay.
When they were talking about the numbers, because this is the one where they had all their charts and everything up there, and they were talking about mitigation strategies, and so the coronavirus is the looking at it thing, right? But
Right.
he's talking about the number of in the modeling, right?
Oh,
The
the number of folks
modeling
that
is
could
telling
die.
you that we could lose 100 to 200,000, and then he's talking about, the question is, what would have happened if we did nothing? So yeah,
Right.
that could be the question about the coronavirus, but what he's really speaking about is if they did nothing, if this operation didn't go into force right now, it would be upwards of 2.2 million people, and he's talking about just in the operation that's going on in the US. And part of that, there's something about Mardi Gras that relays into that, and I don't think it's the parade itself, but I believe that, I don't know, maybe there was something in a movement in tunnels or something. I'm not sure article from the Navy where they've already started treating their first patients on the Comfort yesterday. And I don't know if people understand that, but those ships don't have anything to, in fact, any COVID patient is barred from that unless it's one of the patients that's there and they happen to have that, then they'll deal with that. They can mitigate that, any spread of that, and they can deal with that because they have certain isolation rules and everything else. But those are for people who are being rescued. And that's what all the medical equipment, that's what all of the you'll see in New York City and Central Park and other places where there are all of these impromptu tent hospital units because that's where they're being brought up. They have to triage them from there and then figure out how what in the triage process, what care they need, where they need to go, and how that has to happen. Then we've also got it here on page 3. Again, he's talking specifically, we're talking about that happened all of a sudden. California, 50,000 bed capacity, and
the 250 in Michigan. Well,
right. 100 travel trailers. FEMA has already provided 100 travel trailers to a I spoke with leading internet and phone providers who are doing a tremendous job of keeping our internet and lines of communication flowing under very strongly increased strain. The business is more than anybody has seen before because everyone is inside. So he's talking about, okay, so I'm going to stop there for a minute. I don't know, some people caught that. I know Lisa's nodding her head. So that, we just jumped right mid-sentence into obvious multidimensionality. So at first he's starting with just, the fiber optics and the linear communication systems for internet and for phone communication, for all communication systems. And he's saying that, because it's very important, because there's a lot of strain, there's a lot of load capacity going on right now, because everyone's inside their house. But that's not the main thrust of what he's saying in that sentence there, because everyone is inside. Inside, it's an inside job. So you have this pause, you have this stop, you have this moments of darkness, right? Where you're going into that vast inner space within you. And I don't know, have you ever started to meditate or just be quiet or whatever, and maybe you close your eyes and